Good evening, everyone, or good morning to those of you that are joining us from overseas outside the United States. My name is Linda Harris, International Student Advisor in the International Student and Scholar Services Office at San Jose State University. The agenda or the purpose of this webinar is to provide necessary information to aid you as you prepare to come to the US and then to transition to student life at San Jose State University. We will be discussing resources, reminder, to-do list items before you come to SJSU and then after you've arrived on campus. As new students coming to SJSU, by now you probably have received multiple communications from the university regarding SJSU orientation programs. As a reminder, if you haven't already done so, after you're admitted, we ask that you complete the next step intent to enroll process. So this includes paying the enrollment deposit. And then once you've paid your enrollment deposit, you'll be receiving further instructions about the required orientation program depending on your admit status. If you're an incoming freshman, which we also refer to as FROSH, a transfer student, or if you're a graduate student. So we're going to be returning to the topic of orientation later in the presentation. In terms of a visa, who needs a F1 visa? If you're currently abroad coming to SJSU to begin your studies, you've never held F1 status, you'll more than likely need to apply for a F1 student visa. So what you want to do is you want to obtain your initial attendance form I-20 from the admissions office, pay the I-901 CVIS fee prior to applying for that student visa. Canadian citizens are exempt from having to obtain an F1 visa. So if we have any Canadians participating today, then the F1 visa application process wouldn't apply to you. Now, transfer students, if we have any transfer students today, transfer students who already have a valid F1 visa in the passport, they're not required to obtain another one just because they're transferring from their previous institution to San Jose State. So if you do need to apply for F1 student visa, we recommend that you visit the U.S. Department of State's website. It's travel.state.gov for more information. Now, each embassy or consulate, they have their own visa application procedures and instructions. So you'll need to contact the appropriate embassy or consulate directly for detailed information. If you are interested, we do have tips in preparing for your visa interview via the college, that CPGE YouTube video. So check that out if you're interested in learning about visa interview tips. So once you've obtained your F1 visa, initial attendance students, new students, are permitted to enter the US within 30 days of the program start date listed on your I-20. There are exceptions, again, if you're a student transferring SJSU from another US institution, you're not limited to entering 30 days. Okay, on your screen are some sample immigration documents that you'll need to enter the US. So you'll need to have a valid passport, F1 visa we just talked about, SJSU issued I-20. On the right side is a copy of electronic I-94 record and F1 emission stamp that you will be receiving from U.S. Customs and Border Protection, abbreviated CBP, after you're admitted into the U.S. Important note, nowadays, not all port of entries are providing a mission stamp in the passport. So that's that example there on the right. Just note that if you don't get an emission stamp in your passport, it doesn't mean that that there's anything wrong. Regarding the electronic I-94, you won't be able to retrieve your electronic I-94 record until after you arrived in the US, okay? So we will be sending information to our students regarding how to retrieve your I-94, and how to upload your immigration documents. All right, for those of you traveling to the US, arriving at a port of entry, like let's say an airport, be familiar with the CBP inspection process. You'll need to be prepared. One of the things that we do recommend is that you carry your immigration documents with you, such as your passport, your visa, SJSU admit letter, CVIS fee payment receipt. We do not recommend that you pack these important documents in your checked luggage. So as you clear customs, be patient. If you are asked by a CBP officer for a reason for entering the US, answer truthfully with information about the degree program. If you're pursuing a bachelor's or master's degree, maybe your major, length of study. You know, the CBP officer may be asking about your final destination, as well as what your intentions are, which again, if you're coming to SJSU F1, you'll want to say that you are pursuing full-time studies. Do not be alarmed if you're pulled into secondary inspection. Admission to the US is at the full discretion of the CBP officer. If you do not have like sufficient documentation to provide to CBP, they may still allow you to enter, but on a temporary basis. For example, they may give you this Form I-515A and instructions to see an ISS advisor. And then, of course, if they have any sufficient reason, that CBP officer may also deny your entry. So, as before you arrive, we also want you to plan how you're getting from the airport to campus or to your temporary housing or permanent housing. There are many ways to get to San Jose or SJSU campus. Keep in mind that if you choose public transportation, you'll want to plan ahead as there are different services, right? If you're coming by car, traveling by bus, Caltrain, VTA, the routes can be difficult to navigate. It may require you to do some transfers, etc. So just plan ahead, especially if you're not familiar with the Bay Area. All right, so let's quickly talk about housing. We hope that most of you have already secured housing on campus or off campus. Demand for on-campus housing is pretty high, so your options may be limited if you're just now researching housing options. What we recommend that you do is that you check the University Housing Services website particularly if you're interested in on-campus housing. And then don't forget about staying at the International House. There might still be opening at the iHouse. If you're looking for off-campus housing options, such as renting in an apartment with friends, um, do be aware of scams and frauds. Um, you want to do your research, right, before you sign any contract or you give someone a down payment or money. Also on your screen is a link to the college's YouTube video on what are my housing options. So do please take a look at that. Okay, so we encourage our students to arrive on or before the report date listed on your I-20. Arriving late may cause you to miss orientation and classes, as well as incurring late enrollment fees. We've put together a short list of things for you to do after you've arrived, after you moved into your new home. By now, it's likely you have received multiple emails from the University Enrollment Management Team, as well as ISS, about various orientation programs and about completing your to-do list items, clearing registration holds before enrollment is allowed. So all this information may be overwhelming or may be confusing. As new international students, To get started really here at SJSU, you are going to be asked to complete additional requirements compared to, let's say, a domestic US student. For example, our international students have to do this Canvas immigration document upload. What we mean by that is, as an international student, we're going to ask you to upload your immigration documents, copy your passport, visa, I-20, the I-94 record that I mentioned earlier, et cetera. Provide us a residential address, all this information using Canvas. This is kind of our electronic check-in process, and this is for ISS office, the International Student Scholar Services Office, so that we can later register your CVIS record and report to the federal government that you have arrived and enrolled at SJSU. In terms of orientation programs, new international students will need to complete both the university-sponsored orientation programs for freshmen, transfers, or graduate students, in addition to what we call Global Spartan Welcome. If you're a freshman, the university or the campus orientation program for you is called Sparta Camp. For transfer students, it's called Spartan Experience for Transfers. And then graduate students have their own graduate student orientation program. All international students will need to also attend the Global Spartan Welcome, which I will call GSW for short. What we want you to understand is that both orientation programs are required. So if you're a freshman, you're going to attend Sparta Camp in addition to Global Spartan Welcome. If you're a transfer student, you'll need to attend the Spartan Experience and Global Spartan Welcome. And if you're a grad student, we want you to attend that one-day orientation program for grad students in addition to Global Spartan Welcome. So without going too much detail, I do ask that you refer to your welcome email that you should have received from ISS about registering for GSW. We can also provide you a link and GSW information to you at the end of the presentation. So just a quick announcement, since our registration numbers for GSW for newly admitted freshmen are low. If you are an incoming freshman participating in today's webinar and you have not registered to attend Global Spartan Welcome, the freshman orientation program, please register by July 15th. Again, the Global Spartan Welcome is the orientation program that is being sponsored by ISS, International Student Scholar Services. Okay, as you are getting ready to enroll in classes, we want to make sure that you're familiar with the My SJSU portal. So don't confuse it with Spartan Link, which is a separate online orientation components for incoming students put together by the university. So you will be logging into your My SJSU portal to do such things as adding and dropping classes. You'll use the portal to check your to-do list and for any messages. You will use it to check your grades, pay fees, update personal information such as address, phone number, email. Most SJSU offices will also be using My SJSU as a formal method to communicate any admission, enrollment, and appointment information, your fees, transcript information, and important deadlines. So it is your responsibility to check your account frequently. Before you enroll for classes at SJSU, you will need to clear all account holds. Now, the university requires all new students to attend the required mandatory orientation session already mentioned. So that's going to be Sparta Camp, Spartan Experience for transfers, or graduate student orientation before you're allowed to enroll. If you miss your on-campus or university-sponsored orientation program, your admission can be withdrawn, and if you've already enrolled in classes, you could be removed from those classes. During your on-campus orientation, you'll be receiving advising information and help with planning your academic schedule. Also, you want to submit any outstanding to-do list items. So again, please check your My SJSU account, the Student Center. Some of the things that might be on your to-do list item is to submit final transcripts by the appropriate deadline, which I believe is around July 15th. International students are required to purchase SJSU health insurance. It's administered by JCB. It's a brokerage firm for Aetna, which is the actual insurance company. The SJSU health insurance plan for international students provide coverage for accidental injury or sickness, but it also includes medical evacuation and repatriation, which is needed by non-US citizens. Students will need to enroll and purchase health insurance online, and we do have a link on the ISS website. In terms of immunizations, all incoming students for fall 2019 are required to submit proof of the required immunization prior to the first day of classes for the fall term. So the health center, the student health center, is asking students to upload his or her proof of immunization through the immunization portal link available on the student health center website, and we can give a link. We can provide that link to you later. For more information, if you're needing information about that required immunization, visit the SJSU Student Health Center, Getting Healthcare, and they have a separate immunization tab on their website. So before we talk about course registration, let me back up and quickly mention the benefits to attending Global Spartan Welcome. So at GSW, you're going to be learning important information about maintaining status, full-time enrollment requirement for undergrads and grad. You're going to be exploring cultural transitions, learning about American culture. You'll gain tips and strategies for academic success, connect with the various campus resources, and meet the ISS staff. So again, hopefully you're not confused about the required orientation programs, but if not, just at the Q&A, if I need to explain it again, I'll be happy to do that. So moving on, once you've registered for classes, your tuition and fees will be calculated and the amount due will be posted in your student center. For more information about the payment deadline, signing up for installment plans and payment methods, you'll want to visit the SJSU Bursar's office. And then finally, the student ID, or we call it the Tower Card, is free to matriculated students. It'll be available for you to pick up at the cashier's office window in the Student Service Center. You'll need to provide your passport or other government issue photo ID to obtain your Tower Card. And again, you'll need to do this in person. You'll receive more information about the Tower Card itself at one of the university-sponsored orientation program. Okay, so the final slide is a screenshot of the main campus. You've got the key buildings highlighted in black. On the map, the building names are abbreviated. So hopefully you can see that I've highlighted this building with the abbreviation SU. That is the Diaz Compian Student Union, where most of the Global Spartan Welcome orientations will be held. To get more details, to get a printable campus map, driving and directions to SJSU, as well as parking services, visit our homepage. And then there's a parking and maps tab. So if you click on that, you'll be able to get access to a printable campus map.